Welcome back to healing old wounds. In this episode, I reflect on the years between adolescence and adulthood. A time when change came quickly, but healing felt far away. It is a story of silence, survival, and the courage to imagine a life beyond fear. Then came the long-awaited news. Saad had finally received his visa to the United States after Ahmed worked tirelessly to complete all the paperwork. My mother broke down in tears the moment she heard. Months of worry spilled out of her, a mixture of joy, fear, and deep exhaustion. She prayed aloud, thanking God for opening a door for her son. Yet even as she prayed, she knew this goodbye would not be temporary. Our home, once filled with the voices of 6 children, was beginning to empty, one departure at a time. Muna carried more than anyone realized. 3 children, a husband, a house to maintain, and a sewing business that never paused. Her days were heavy and her nights were lonely. She hid her sadness just as I hid mine. On the outside we looked fine, strong, capable, steady. But inside there was always a quiet volcano slowly building, waiting for the moment it might erupt. Even as an adult with her own family, she lived in fear and obedience. To her, respecting and submitting to our parents was simply the way life worked in the old country. No matter your age, no matter your circumstances, you were never truly in charge of your own life. Not until the parents passed. Muna had separated from her husband, awaiting her divorce, and moved in with her 3 children. My father supported them, and once again the house was filled with the laughter and cries of little ones. Yet beneath that liveliness lingered a quiet heaviness, the residue of years of sorrow and the unspoken pain woven into our family's history. She gave up her sewing business. Most days she disappeared into her room, lying in bed for hours. My mother cared for her children, holding the household together as best she could. I often wondered if my sister's return was a blessing or a burden we were all too tired to name. One day I walked to the market with a small list of things my mother needed. She had told me to make it quick. On my way back home, I noticed someone behind me. When I turned, my heart froze. It was the same boy Muna had once befriended, the one who had pulled a knife on me months earlier. Panic rushed through me. I ran as fast as I could, convinced he would catch me, certain this might be the end of my life. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. By the grace of God, my father happened to be driving home from work at that exact moment. He saw me running, stopped the car, and pulled me inside. The boy bolted, jumping fences until he vanished from sight. For days I would lay in bed replaying it all in my head. The footsteps behind me, the pounding in my chest, the way fear crawled up my spine. Even though I was safe, a part of me stayed frozen in that moment. I learned that day how fragile safety really was. I had never told a soul what had happened months earlier at Muna's house. When that boy pulled a knife on me, I kept it a secret, afraid of getting Muna in trouble. And now, for the second time, I carried the fear alone, locking it deep inside where no one could see. During this time, tragedy touched those closest to me. My best friend, Noor, lost her father suddenly. She was devastated. Withdrawing completely from the world, she quit school, and I rarely saw or spoke to her anymore. Another layer of loneliness settled over an already isolating life. As for me, I graduated high school at 19. The milestone should have felt triumphant, but instead it was layered with uncertainty. I still shared a room with my mother and followed instructions without question. I had no mind of my own, no voice that truly belonged to me. The idea of planning for the future was foreign. In my culture, a woman had no real control over her life, no matter her age. In modern societies, turning 18 marks the beginning of adulthood for both men and women, but not where I came from. A woman never left her parents' home until marriage. After that, she either moved into her husband's family house or, if he could afford it, into a home of their own. Sometimes the husband would even move in with his wife's family. Yet in every case, one truth remained unchanged. Marriages were arranged. A man could choose his bride and shape his future as he wished, but a woman could not choose her husband, or the path her life would take. Many of my school friends had drifted away, married, moved, or consumed by their own lives. Noor had married and remained in her family home. Jamila had married and moved away, and Layla was fighting her own demons, no longer in touch. I felt like a woman who had already lived a lifetime of struggle, pain, fear, and confusion. 14 years earlier, the 6-year-old I once was had been forced into adult situations she could not comprehend. I still carried the physical pain and emotional scars of those years. They remained with me, unyielding. Across the ocean, the lives of my brothers continued to evolve. Omar was in college studying computer science. He and Saad shared an apartment, while Saad took his time learning the language and adjusting to a new culture. Ahmad invested some of his money into Hakim's moving business and became a partner. Ahmad began preparing sponsorship papers for my mother and me to immigrate. The possibility of leaving the only home I had ever known filled me with both hope and fear. 19 years old, suspended between worlds, too old to be a child, too haunted to embrace adulthood. I wondered if I had the strength to live fully, or if I would simply fade under the weight of the past. The physical pain from the abuse remained as vivid as ever, a constant reminder of never to trust men, and of the innocence stolen from me. The idea of seeing Hakim again after all these years brought back memories I wished I could erase. Would he try to exert the same control over me as he had when I was a child? Could I be strong enough to stop him if he did? My mind, still haunted by the 6-year-old's trauma, spiraled with questions. Now, with sponsorship papers in progress for my mother and me to join my brothers in America, at 20 years old I stood at a crossroads. The place I had always known offered no safety, yet the future held its own unknowns. There was no clear, safe place for me, only the resolve to keep moving forward. I knew the abuse would never fully leave me. The physical pain and emotional scars remained, vivid and unrelenting. At 20 years old, I wondered, will I have the choice to stay or go? Will I find safety anywhere?